My topic is EPA and emission standards. I'll be doing an outline of my paper. Obviously, you start with the intro for a paper. In the intro, I'll explain the topic, which is the emission and the EPA standards of fossil fuels in small and light vehicles. I will then move to what is EPA. EPA is the Environmental Protection Agency in the U.S., and they control key greenhouse gases in cars and factories. How is it produced in cars? Emissions is produced in cars when fuel and air mix in the combustion chamber of the engine block and explode. The explosion makes exhaust, which is then forced up the tailpipe, and it has carbon and other greenhouse gases in it, which is not good for the air. The policy in question is the SAFE Act, or the Safer, Affordable, Fuel-Efficient Vehicles Rule. I'll then end by stating my thesis, which is I'm for the removal of California's EPA and emission standards in favor of a uniform standard. We then move into the body, and then you start with the background, which is the explanation of the history of California's emission standards. In 1960, California had smog, so they addressed it by creating a pollution act. 3 years later, the federal government created the Clean Air Act in 1963. Due to the fact that it was 3 years older, California's rule was grandfathered in and did not need to conform to the Clean Air Act. 12 states currently follow California's rule, while 38 follow the unions. An example of California's rule would be the year 2025, cars must get 54.5 miles to the gallon compared to the federal 37. I would then move into my opinion, or my position, which is when you reduce and remove the California EPA standards, you would reduce the price of vehicle manufacturing, thus making it cheaper to purchase. This would keep vehicles cheap enough to purchase, and yet the standard for quality would remain high for today. When you reduce the price, more people are going to buy them, so with the increased vehicle purchase, this would boost the economy, giving people the ability to give their money to the company, and the company would put the money back into the government, and then the economy flows and it would increase, and as a time right now, we need the economy to be higher. Opposing views, obviously, when you remove emission standards, you would increase greenhouse gases. Those damage the ozone and create areas where heat can seep in through, which would create global warming and ice caps melting, and we don't want polar bears forming. I want to rebuttal. I don't want to remove all EPA emission standards. I just want to remove California's version of them, along with 12 other states. I just want one uniform flat one. In my opinion, it doesn't make sense that manufacturers are making cars that are only good for 12 states and just give them to the 38 when we live in a democracy and we should be looking at everything else, but it is rules, and it'd be easier if we just have one flat rule. A problem that arises with having the removal of the EPA and emission standards in California is that companies have their choice of doing what they want for their company. Where Ford, as of right now, in the year 2022, will be going all electric. So they have their own mindset of they're already going electric. They don't need the EPA and emission standards to change. Other companies like Dodge who make high horsepower and need the race fuel and that kind of stuff that is not allowed in the 12 states. That would be very helpful for them to increase their product and their marketing standpoint. Then it gets to state rights. The federal government is not supposed to interfere with state rights. They want to govern them themselves. However, with this new SAFER Act, it would have the federal government overarching into the states' rights to govern themselves. Also on a global view, the United States is seen as a very economic and emission standard-like area. We are supposed to be on the forefront of keeping everything safe around here, and it would impact the global view we as a nation would get. In conclusion, I obviously restate my opinion about how the economy would be boosted, cars would be cheaper, the price of manufacturing would be cheaper, and we would keep today's standards of quality. It would benefit because we just not provide for 12, we provide for the whole 50 now for a uniform standard. And then I'd restate the thesis of the removal of California EPA emission standards in favor of a uniform standard. Sources. It's hard to find peer-reviewed sources. Due to the fact this is not a very college-focused topic, this is more a global, and as of right now, it's a court issue. One thing I forgot to mention was that in March, the Trump administration was trying to pass the SAFER Act, but due to the coronavirus, it has been put in the back burner. That's one problem with finding people to actually agree with and to have sources that make sense for use in college and have been peer reviewed. And yeah, thank you.